Hey everybody, in this video, what I want to share with you are the two master steps that I've found to be very critical for any type of emotional healing. If you don't know who I am, I'm Hicks. I am a mental health coach. I help people overcome depression and anxiety. I was suicidal myself before, but I've been depression free for over 16 years. And I make these videos because there's plenty of people dealing with depression and anxiety. I don't want you to be one of them because you deserve to live a life without those experiences. I want to make sure that I'm touching on this subject with the appropriate care. And I want to, first of all, preface that I don't think that any, 10-minute or less video is going to be adequate to dissect each one of the layers of what this process entails. But what I want to share with you is the two main pieces, the two ingredients, I guess I might say, that I have found to be in common with any of the sort of healing that I've done myself at an individual level with my own mental health, but then also for any of the journeys that I've had a privilege of playing a part in from my client's perspective. So these are, in my view, are the two biggest pieces. And within those two chunks, those two master ingredients, there's all sorts of different styles of approach. There's all sorts of different strategies that can be used depending on what that person has underwent or undergone. But the real question I wanted to tackle was, what is a healing and what is required to take for a healing to take place? Because this word has become kind of the new favorite buzzword in the mental health industry. There's so many people talking about, healing this and taking time to heal, and this is how we heal, and it's kind of the new catchphrase for a lot of things. But I think that we want to tackle it in a little bit more careful way. So healing, in my view, tends to be revolving around some type of a past trauma or a pain that somebody has been holding on to for a good long while. Usually is referring to something where somebody has felt an ongoing pain based off of something that happened in the past that they found to be deeply jarring or at least impactful on themselves. And I've had the privilege and the challenge as well of working with a lot of people through these types of experiences. So physical abuse has been a common thing for a lot of my clients. Sexual abuse, particularly for my female clients, has been a big thing that I've had to tackle with them in numerous ways, and had to approach it with a lot of care and figuring out how to actually get people to a place where they really felt a deeper inner peace. And here are the two things that I feel like I've learned. The first thing that I've seen is necessary for a healing to take place is there has to be a change in the meaning that is associated to the painful event. So whenever somebody is experiencing continuous pain or suffering in regards to something from the past, you can bet your bottom dollar that there's going to be a negative or disempowering story or belief revolving around that particular past event or past chapter of their life. So this can come in different forms. It can come in the form of blame, like self-blame. So, it was my fault that I did XYZ and that's why my father beat me. Or, it was my fault for being too overweight as a child. That's why my mother never thought I was good enough, right? Something like that. So very often blame is a big piece of it, and there can be blame towards self. That's some of the most destructive. That's why there's all this emphasis on validating and affirming people's experiences, because so many people are craving feeling safe and understood about what they've gone through in the past. So I do agree that, no longer blaming yourself is a hugely important thing. The second thing that can be a disempowering story, and I'm still on the first key piece, by the way, which is changing what the past meant, right? The meaning. Another way that we can create a disempowering meaning is blaming others. And so I want to make sure that I'm careful with my words here, right? I'm not saying that we should condone, abusive behavior, right? If somebody, physically harmed you, sexually harmed you, unknowingly inflicted some damage towards you, or especially if they knowingly inflicted damage towards you, right? I'm certainly not condoning their behavior. I'm not justifying it. I'm not, saying, oh, let's just, pretend that didn't happen. But what I am saying, though, is that second to self-blame, continuing to endorse a blame story towards someone else can be almost equally as destructive in the long term. Sometimes what is necessary is for somebody to change the story from self-blame, as in it was my fault, to then, no, it wasn't my fault, it was their fault. And in a way, that's kind of a progression, but you can't stop there for real emotional healing to take place. And this is where I diverge with a lot of people's opinions out there, because I think there's so much in the mental health industry right now where people are wanting to label other people. This is where like the whole urge to like label people as narcissistic and abusive and all those things. I'm not saying that people aren't capable of being narcissistic. I'm not saying people aren't capable of being, committing abuse. But what I am encouraging you to keep in mind, if you feel like there's some healing of your own that you need to do, is that blaming never empowers you long term, even if it's towards someone else. And the second thing I will share as well is that people very often caused pain in the past for you, but it wasn't their intent. It may have seemed that that was their intent, and sometimes that's the meaning that we create, that they meant to do that. Probably 8 or 9 times out of 10, it wasn't their intent to hurt you. It's just that you ended up getting hurt. And so if you endorse a story of blame, it can keep you from being able to heal that relationship. Or if that person has passed or left your life, healing the mental relationship you have with that person is going to be inhibited if you continue to blame. So that's a big piece of it. The other way in which we create a meaning that's not helpful is, if we use a story of limitation, like because XYZ happened, now I can't ABC, right? And that has to change. So there's one woman I recall, of course, I'll not share any, personally identifiable pieces of her story, but she was a sexual abuse survivor. And one of the things that she was telling herself was, I'm not going to be able to be loved because of what happened to me. We had to change that meaning to, of course I'll be able to be loved. And in fact, the meaning had to become, I now value love, real love, at a deeper level because I know what the charade of love was like in my past. And that empowered her to get into a new relationship that was actually really rewarding. So there has to be a change of meaning, right? There has to be a new story. Sometimes we're telling ourselves a story about the past, and even sometimes it's a true story, although usually it's not. It's a distorted one, and it has to change. The second ingredient I found that's critical for a healing is there has to be newfound self-love, right? And what I've realized is that all emotional pain comes from the withholding of love. We feel pain in regards to other people when we believe love is being taken away from us, or we believe someone that's supposed to love us is harming us. That's what's most deeply emotionally jarring for human beings, is the absence of love or the taking away of love. And so very often, if we had a traumatic experience occur in the past, the ones that really sear in our brains are the ones where we felt like people who were supposed to love us hurt us, or love was taken away from us. And when we endorse a story of blaming others or blaming ourselves, what we're really doing is we're withholding love being expressed to ourselves or to other people. And what I have found in my processing, helping people create healing for themselves, is as soon as they turn the switch back on and say, you know what, I'm no longer willing to withhold love from myself just because I made this mistake in the past, or I'm no longer willing to blame myself and withhold love from myself just because something happened that was outside of my control in the past, that's when the healing really occurs. When we talk about healing, really all healing is putting love where love used to be absent. And once we do that, healing occurs. Healing occurs in relationships, and healing occurs with the relationship we have with ourselves. So again, there's all sorts of little steps that need to take place to make that happen, but those are the two master things I've realized have to occur for a healing to take place. So if you found this helpful, please engage with it, because every engagement means somebody who needs to hear this message will see it. So it's a way for you to pass it on. And I hope that this has served you. Maybe I can serve you at a deeper level in the future. I'd really love that privilege. But until now, I wish you well on your journey. I'll talk to you soon.